Hey guys, welcome to Ice Hockey Aussies Power Rankings Week 6. And here to kick us off is Jaden with pick 32.
Alrighty. My pick 32 doesn't change from last week, so it's still the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, doesn't change for me either.
Yeah, I can see arguments for changing it, but at the moment I still think they're playing as a 32 team, though some other teams are on big losing streaks or haven't won many games in an X amount of games, so yeah, they could move
Yeah, I
up in the coming
contemplated
weeks.
it.
Mm.
Yeah, I contemplated it. I mean, I think they've won 5 of their last 8. So things are on the way up. I mean, they couldn't get much worse, but for now, I want to see them do it a bit more consistent. Maybe win a couple more games in regulation before we change them.
Alright, you're 31?
All right. 31. All right. These guys don't move anywhere for me. They stay in the same spot. It's the Chicago Blackhawks. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't. I couldn't put them at 32 yet. I know you've got them a bit higher,
Yeah.
but they've only won 2 games out of the last 14.
Yeah, I got him at 28. It's just because I don't like the play of the teams below them. That's
Yeah.
basically it. They're basically a 32 team as well. I think all the teams below are all 32 in a sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree, man. It's so hard because I'm just sitting there going, some of you that I've got it might be 28, 29. You don't deserve to be above 30, but you are. Like, you have to be.
yep.
Um, but yeah, can't say too much more about Chicago. It's just not happening, but we
Well,
expected it.
well, it's what they want. Like the management want anyway, not the players, but the
E-
management. Um,
Exactly.
on 31 for me, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just one up for me. There's not too much to say about that, really, is there?
Yeah, I feel like they're playing better than they have been, but they're still not getting all the results they should be if they are playing better. And yeah, I couldn't move them up. I still think they're one of the bottom teams of the league at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they get a good win against Florida at the start of the week, but then they lose to Montreal and New York, and obviously they had Nashville postponed today. I do think they're a better side than 30, and I think or 31, and I think they will push up. But we've got to see them put together back to back to back wins, not just win one then lose two, and win two then lose three. Like, they've got to start putting a few win streaks together to sort of climb those rankings.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Moving on to 29. Another team I think should be a lot higher than this, and it pains me to say it, but man, they got walloped this week. The Ottawa Senators.
Oh, really? Um, I
Yeah,
have them at 27.
I I do understand that. I get it.
They actually moved up.
It must have been the teams around you, because yeah,
Yeah,
look, they won against Anaheim really well yesterday, but again, it's Anaheim, they're bottom. But they got pumped by San Jose, they got pumped by Vegas, they got pumped by New Jersey. Um, I just Yeah, like, I don't like them this low, but they've won 3 games out of their last. They won 3 games this month, and 3 games out of their last, I want to say 14 games. It's just, yeah, it's looking really rough for them at the moment. They just need to
yeah,
start putting together wins, not,
yeah. The only reason they
yeah,
move
like,
up is because they were below Chicago last week, and that was it. They win a game this week, and Chicago don't. So that was basically the only determinant for me moving them
yeah, yeah,
already.
understandable.
30 for me. I have a team that I'm not high on. It's the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, I've got them a little bit higher, not nothing major. They're 27 for me. Um, I just think they've gotten a few results since that really bad start they had. That's really the only reason I've got them ahead of a few other teams.
Yeah, I still hate their defense. I still hate watching Eric Carlson defend. He's always a few meters out of position. I don't. I feel like their forward group's somewhat clicking, which is helping a bit, but Yeah, it's just the defense. It hurts to watch, and I don't think it's good hockey. So yeah, that's why I have him so low.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't really rate them that much, but I had to have them higher than a couple of the other teams, and especially I know they haven't looked too good the past probably 4 or 5 games, but they did beat Dallas and Vegas and Minnesota and beat them reasonably well. Um, so yeah, like it's just I had to have them above the likes of Chicago and probably Ottawa, who just aren't getting the results.
Yeah, understandable.
Um, but yeah, I'll move on to my 28, and well, it's happy happy 10 loss streak annual for the Philadelphia Flyers. It's the one thing that can be counted on: death taxes and Philadelphia Flyers having a 10 game losing streak.
Yep. All
They
right.
had to drop.
Yeah, they dropped
That's
they
really all I can say.
dropped a bit for me too. -7 for me. 29.
Yeah.
Um, I could. Yeah. What do you do with that losing streak? You have to throw them down. I do want to talk about like the refs not giving what instigator penalties to Delorier and D'Angelo at the end of the game of the Islanders game. I think they deserved it 100%. I think it's bad refing that they purposely bent the rules so they didn't get it, so they don't get the 1 game suspension. Sure, player hits your player with 3 minutes to go, you're 3 goals down, game's over. But it was a clean, heavy hit, so I didn't like it. I think the refs were way too soft on it. I would like to see that changed in the review.
Yeah.
But I think that summed up the Flyers at the moment. 10-game losing streak, frustrating. You go in the third period equal, and then you just fall apart. Just 2 really quick goals, and then a power play goal. So yeah, it's hard to have many higher.
Yeah, and like on those instigator penalties, they really do need to be given. I don't get me wrong, I love the biff, I love the barge. I think it's one of the great things about ice hockey. I think so many other sports have gone really soft in that direction. Now they don't let any of the biff and barge happen. So I don't want to see it gone, but I also don't want to see players just hitting people from behind. So often we see it where a player just comes out of nowhere and starts throwing haymakers because a player put on a good hit against against their teammate. I'm all for you going in there and roughing them up a bit of biff, but no throwing haymakers, no slamming unsuspected players against the ice or any of that. I think if you're going to do that, you should be getting an instigator penalty and sitting not just your 5 minute fighting major, but also your 2 minute power play you've just
Yeah,
given your
I
opposition.
think they gave him like a 10-minute penalty with 3 minutes to go. Like that means anything. So yeah, it was a bit stupid. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
All right, my pick at
Yeah.
26, I have the Buffalo Sabres.
Buffalo Sabres, I reckon. Yeah, I've got them up one more position in 25 for me.
Yeah, they move up 3, not really on their play, more in regards to some of the like
Everyone around them.
flyers moving down. But they're showing signs, especially against New Jersey. Like they're not playing bad. They're definitely competing, and that's what you like to see. But they just need to get the results.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, I mean, Devils were better than Buffalo in that game, but Buffalo were impressive, man.
Mm,
And the 2 wins prior to that,
yeah,
they
big
belted
wins.
Montreal and then St. Louis on a back to back. Like,
Yep.
and St. Louis were on a 6 game. I'm not sure if they had been broken yet, but they were either on a 6 game, 7 game winning streak, or they had just come off of it. So yeah, they've got the firepower, man. They've got so much talent
Mm.
in
I
that
I think I
team, and
think
they
this
look
season's swinging.
scary.
I think this season's swinging, like back again, doing the yo-yo seasons. They
Yeah, look, I suspect they're going to be like New Jersey over the last couple of years, where they look good in patches, but their defense sort of just lets them
mm,
down at times, and their inexperienced play. I think Buffalo are going to be fantastic over the next probably maybe even next season to the season after. They'll start being real playoff contenders. But I think this year is probably just their filling out year.
Yeah.
They need to just add a couple more
Well,
pieces.
maybe it is also because it's almost the end of November. They're starting to flick it on again. Maybe that's it. Maybe...
Their
All right.
new November slump.
All
Oh,
right, your pick.
jeez. All right, at pick 26, I was really impressed with their bounce back this week, and even though they got pumped today on the scoreboard, I thought they played a lot better than what the result showed. It's the Washington Capitals.
Ooh, I have them higher. I have them at 23,
Hmm.
going up 3
Yeah,
positions.
I had them a lot lower last week. Remember, I had them
Yep.
down at 30 after their.
Yep.
I
Wrong
think
call.
they'd
No.
won. Well, they had only won 2 games out of the last 12, man. Like it's hard. They weren't playing good. Their team was decimated. But a great bounce back. Like I can't really argue. Um, I know they lose today 5-1 to the Devils, but honestly, that scoreline probably doesn't
Nah.
show what the game was like.
It should. They should have
They
went to
played well.
OT with that game. Vanacek definitely stood on his head. They
Mm,
but it goes against like the first game against the Devils. They win 6-3. They were the worst team,
yeah,
and they get the win by a big margin. Now they're the better team, and they lose 5-1 by a big margin. So just play bad in that little rivalry there, and you'll get the
in that
win.
rivalry, yeah. Nah, 100%. But yeah, look, I think once they get all their players back, watch out Metro and Eastern
Mm.
Metro Division Eastern Conference because they whether they get all their players back in time is going to be the question, but they're going to give it a real shake once they do.
Alrighty, on to my pick, number 25 for me. I have the Arizona Coyotes. They don't move for me.
Ooh. Yeah, they're one spot up for me, and they don't move for me either. It's hard to move a team that's doing what they're doing
Yeah,
when no one thought they would.
I just like to compete. That's all you ask for, and they seem to do it every game. Doesn't always work
Mhm.
out in their favor, but shootout loss against, which is basically a draw against Nashville.
Yep.
Then you get a shutout win against the
Against
Canes.
Carolina. Yep.
And then another shootout loss, which is another draw for me.
Yeah.
So
So they pick up 4 points. 4 of
4 out of 6.
a possible 6. Yeah.
You'd get that any week for Arizona. You'd be laughing. So yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. And they've had a tough run. Like their last probably 7 games, they played the New York Islanders, New Jersey Devils, New York Rangers, Vegas Golden Knights, and then and Carolina. And funnily enough, they shut out the Islanders. They shut out Carolina. Um, they get beaten by the Devils, Rangers, and Golden Knights. But that this is a team that was expected to not even show up against the worst teams, let alone the good teams. And we're seeing them shut out the likes of Carolina, the likes of the Islanders a few weeks ago. It's yeah, like it's
Yeah.
baffling.
I,
I
d-
hope
I
for their sake it falls away by the end of the year so they can finish as low as possible for that first overall. But you've got to be impressed with what you're seeing.
yeah.
It's nice.
I
It's
agree.
promising.
I think they're the best of the worst in the
Yeah,
league. But
for sure.
alrighty, I think it's your pick.
Yeah, pick 23. Team that's probably finally doing what a lot of people thought they would at the start of the year, or better than where they have been. I think as low as probably 31 these guys have been. But the Vancouver Canucks
Alrighty,
finally moving their way up.
got them at 24. Don't move for me.
Hmm,
um, yeah,
rough,
yeah, no,
rough. They had a wicked week.
they've had a
Uh,
wicked week. I think they're on the upswing. It's just the weeks prior that just had them as low as they are, and I struggled to move them because of those weeks. But they probably played their best game of the season against, I believe it was Vegas, if I'm remembering
yeah, they
correctly. Um,
pumped them.
so unlucky for Vegas that Vancouver finally show up and it's against you, but
Well, well,
and
the crazy thing is that really barring Vegas's massive comeback on the Sunday, I think it was against them,
Mm.
the Vancouver were pumping them in that game as well. They were 4-2 up, probably midway through the third in that game, and they conceded 3 goals to lose in regulation. So I don't know, like, yeah,
I think they're on the upswing. I still, because of how bad their start of the season has, I struggle to put them up higher. I put up Capitals higher just because I feel like they're competing just as well. And honestly, it was just a flip of a coin or who went on above. So either
yeah,
or. That's why Washington are just a little bit
yeah,
higher. Alrighty,
yeah,
pick
no.
pick number 22. I have a team still shouldn't be this low, but they are. So I'm guessing it's going to be them for the rest of the season. It's Minnesota Wild.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I knew that's where you were going with that, and I couldn't move them either. Um,
Yeah,
I
them,
see they move up one for you, but I think
yeah.
that's just
It's just
because
because of Philly.
Philadelphia went
Yep,
down.
just purely because of Philly.
Um,
Yeah, they're just a yo-yo of a season. Not all their players are firing. They lose a pretty big game with their backup goalie this week, even though they weren't
mm,
conceding many shots. Um, yeah, it's actually probably hit the panic button now for the Wild. I would say.
yeah, I mean, I think they're still 500, so I think, as long as you're around that 500, it's not until too late in the season that you're going to get really concerned. If you go on a run, you look all right, but yeah, I don't think for their sake they're going to want to be at exactly 500 or lower for any longer than this. I think once you get to the halfway point, if you're if you're still around that 500, it's very, like, of course you can turn it around, but it's very questionable whether you are going to be able to.
Yeah,
So they're going to want to turn it on in the next 20 games, that's for sure.
yeah. Well, they're currently equal standings with Nashville in their division.
Hmm.
Luckily for them, some of the division rivals have struggled as well. St. Louis as well. So
Mm,
maybe they can clinch a wild card spot at the end of the season.
yeah. It'll be interesting, that's for sure. We expect a lot bigger things out of these guys. All right, moving on to my 21. Another team I couldn't move this week in the Montreal Canadiens. They had a pretty good week, but I need to see more consistency from them. It's just so up and down at the moment.
Yeah, I've got them at 19, so they move up just a little bit for me, just 2 positions.
Yeah, I just didn't want to punish Nashville, to be honest. Like, Nashville had 2 games postponed. I mean, if we saw both those games, it might have been a different outcome. But for me, they beat Chicago in shootout, Montreal, and they beat Columbus, and then they got pumped by Buffalo. So I don't know. For me, it was an average week, and
Yep.
just, yeah,
No, I agree. On the Nashville side of it, just in regards to it, I put them a little bit lower just purely because of like the shootout win. It wasn't a hard win. It was a shootout win against Arizona, but it is, and then they get shut out. So that's why I have them a little bit lower than Montreal. That you'll find out soon.
nah, yeah, fair enough. All right, move on to your pick 21.
So my 21, I have Calgary.
Ooh.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
look, I don't hate it. I'll be honest. I've got them a bit higher. Only 19. I'm surprised to see them at 21, but I can see it.
Yeah, well, you got a 5-2 win against Philadelphia. Then you get a shootout loss, sure it's shootout against Pittsburgh. Then you lose, get shut out against the Capitals, and then you lose on the back-to-back against the Canes. Like you're not taking 3 out of 6 points.
Mhm.
I'd probably like to see at least 4 um, out of 8. Sorry, um,
Yeah.
because of
I guess that Washington game,
yeah, I
isn't
guess
it?
that
Like,
it's the Washington games needs to be flipped, and sure the
yeah,
Pens game can go either way. So that's my issue with it.
yeah. Yeah, Pens and Carolina 100% can go either way, but it's that loss to Washington. Washington, we said it's about their compete against the Devils today, but the Devils get the job done. That's the thing. The Caps showed up. The Caps played really well, but the Devils got the job done. Calgary, yeah, Washington played really well, but it's a game that you can't really lose whilst Washington are missing so many players.
Yep.
You need to win those points because those are the points that are going to get you into the playoffs. Taking advantage of teams like Washington whilst they're struggling with a depleted squad. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree with the placement of 21. I can't argue with it too much. I didn't push them down as far, but
Mm.
can definitely see
Well,
it.
you had him one position higher as well last week, so it's not as a big a fall. But yeah,
Yeah, true.
on to
All
20.
right. Pick number 20 for me. Yeah, team doesn't move too much. I got your point with the obvious shootout win and the shutout, but because of those two postponed games, I just had to leave them where they are, and it's Nashville Predators.
Yeah, they stay where they are for me. It's just I've flipped Montreal and Calgary, it
Yeah,
seems. Um, but yeah, it's a shame they didn't get to play those games, especially the back to back. I hope that postponed game gets put on a back to back.
mm,
Considering that those type of scheduled games matter. They play a big
yeah,
part, as Pittsburgh would lovely tell you. Um,
yeah.
it,
15 back-to-backs for the season and
yeah,
6 in the last 5 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah,
they already
just
had
insane.
six, and what New Jersey just had their first. So the schedule
Yeah,
really does play a big part, and I expect any teams that are having a rough schedule at the start will probably fire at the end.
yeah, for sure. Um, all
Alrighty,
right, move
18.
on to your 18.
St. Louis.
Ooh.
Yes,
Yeah, this is
they
this
don't.
is yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I've got them in my top 15, top 16. But I think from maybe 14 or was it yes,
Yeah.
14,
Uh,
13. I don't really rate any of those teams in the top 16
No, so
at the
basically
moment.
14 to 18 for me is all interchangeable. I don't
Yeah,
rate them. It like sure they've been on a streak. Um, they seem to be a streaking team this season.
yep.
Uh,
They were very lucky today
mm,
because if they lost today, that would have been 3 losses in a row. I think we all know what was bound to happen.
yeah. So
Yeah,
like their forward line's starting to fire again with Cairo and whatnot, but I still have my doubts about some of their play, and that's why I can't have them in my top 16 yet. And they don't move. They go 2 for 2 and 2. So yeah, just a flat week for me.
yeah, it was tough. They only moved one for me. They were in the top 16 last week. Um, the win today against Florida definitely held their position rather than seeing them drop off. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, from 14 to the 18, 19, whatever you want to call it. Just none of them are really a top 16 team. Like, don't get me wrong, I rate St. Louis. I think they've got a side to definitely be playoffs and stuff. And the other teams in those 16, 17, 18 positions, I believe that they are playoff teams, but they're not performing like playoff teams right now.
Yep.
And I don't. Yeah, if we could almost say, nope, you don't go, you three are out of the top 16, we're not going to have a 14, 15, 16. I probably would do that. Because I don't think any of them are playing like playoff teams right now, but someone's got to take those spots.
Yep. No, I agree. On to your pick.
All right, pick 18. Um, just really struggling, and I had to show it. So yeah, I've got the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, okay. So that's the team I just have slightly in my top 16.
Yeah, and I totally get that. I could swap the Oilers for St. Louis
Mm.
either. The comeback win today against the Rangers was huge for them.
Yeah, that was big.
Um,
That's sad for the
but
Rangers.
yeah, they got beaten well by New Jersey. They got shut out by the Islanders, and then until that I don't even know what to call it. That last, what was it? The last bloody, yeah,
Last
six
period,
six minutes.
you, you,
Yeah, they
you
just
got a three goal lead and then you don't even get a point out of the game. It's
it's disgusting for the Rangers, and I think we'll be talking about the Rangers pretty soon. But it just shows you where both teams are. They're just struggling right now.
yeah, and
They can turn it on, but they can't sustain it. The Rangers, for majority of today's game, really good, solid game, and then they have one bad period and it's good night. And the
yeah,
Oilers are the same. You watch them; they have a good period where you're like, wow, they're just destroying, and then they'll just go, bang, shit the bed,
yeah.
and it's game over.
Yeah, no, I haven't been impressed with their play. They're definitely underperforming. They're kind of in win now mode, basically, with the contracts they have, and they're definitely underperforming. I wasn't impressed with the New Jersey game they played, and definitely wasn't impressed with the Islanders game they played. So they
No,
got they got to be hitting the panic button.
yeah, and the thing for the New Jersey game, McDavid almost plays 24 minutes.
Yeah,
Like McDavid 20, 23, 46, Nugent Hopkins 22 minutes, Draisaitl 23 minutes. Like they're playing defenseman minutes almost.
hmm
Like it just they're
and
play there's
if
just
there's
too
a power
much
if there's a power play, they stay on the ice for the whole 2 minutes. They
for the whole 2 minutes. They don't have a second power play. It's ridiculous, and
yeah.
I don't quite understand it. Like,
Uh,
are you just that um reliant on those two players or your top two lines? Or like, what's the deal? Even the last game that Oilers played against the Devils, McDavid played 24 minutes, Draisaitl played 22, Nugent Hopkins played 22. Like,
hmm. Oh
I
man,
don't know. I
if I was an
just
opposing team, I'd be lining them up. And that's the whole Oilers team out. If you
well,
take
yeah. I
them out,
mean,
yeah.
New York Islanders, McDavid plays 24-30, Draisaitl plays 23 minutes. Like, this isn't just a once-off occurrence.
Mm,
Draisaitl and McDavid are playing, you know, 20. McDavid today 25 minutes. Draisaitl 25 minutes. They are literally almost playing half the game
yep.
a night. That is not. I get that they're probably the two best players in the league, or two of the top five anyway. But that's not a recipe for success. Like, that's not.
Oh well,
That's
hockey's a team
how
game,
tough is that?
and you got to have a team, and that's not a team,
Mm,
and that pretty much sums
no,
up the Oilers and their woes.
yeah,
They don't have a
I
team.
and that's not a recipe for success in the playoffs either. And I get it. They made they beat Calgary last year, and I think they made the Western Conference final.
Yeah, they first
Um,
lost to Avs, but
yeah,
they weren't
but
really ever in it. I don't think in the Avs
no,
one.
and that's the thing. And I don't think you're ever going to make it that long playing 25 minutes a night all season.
Nah,
You're
you
wanting
need a
your
team.
players fresh. Yeah,
Alrighty.
agreed.
On to 17 for me. I have
Yeah,
the team we were just talking about, the New York Rangers.
New York Rangers. Yeah, exactly the same as me.
Um, kind of summed up in regards to when we were talking about the Oilers.
Yeah,
They just be having a yo-yo season. No idea what happened in the third period against the Oilers. And that's what kicks them out of the 16 for me. But
yeah,
yeah, it's rough. They're definitely better, and I fear what they can become, but I don't fear them at the
yeah.
moment.
No, I think they're a great side, but like uh, they lose to Anaheim in regulation.
Yeah,
It, don't get me wrong, you can lose to these teams occasionally. Like, you're gonna, right? Some teams are just gonna get you on the day,
yeah,
but it just seems to be a regular occurrence for them. They're not getting the job done against teams that they should be getting it done against, and they're losing games against the good teams as well. Like, they're not. They sometimes they pull some points away, but most of the times at the moment we're seeing them lose. Lost to Boston, lost to the Islanders, lost to Seattle, lost to Edmonton today. Um, yeah, they're just not getting those wins against a couple of the bigger teams, and they are dropping points like crazy against the lower teams.
Yeah,
So I just don't know what's going on with them at the moment. It's
they are
concerning.
scraping points by getting OT losses. But
Hmm.
you need the regulation wins, and the only good save for them at the moment is they got a good plus minus and goal differential,
Hmm.
um, which is better to say than some other teams around them. But you still got to get the win, and that's the thing
Yeah,
there.
they do, and I don't think there's too many Rangers fans that would be looking at their season going, "Yeah, I'm happy with what's happening at the moment." I think they'd be going, "What's this? We made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, guys. Like, what is happening? We're a better team than this." I think they'll take positives out of the fact that they are above 500 and they are sitting 15th in the league on the standings, and it is early, but I definitely think they want to see an improvement in their gameplay, and more consistency because it is going to start to get real concerning.
All right, on starting of your top 16.
Yeah. I have wanted an excuse to kick these guys out of my top 16 for yeah, several weeks now, to be honest. But teams like the Rangers and the Oilers and Flames and all the rest of that just aren't doing enough to do it for me. And it's the Florida Panthers.
Alrighty, I got them at 15.
I love them. I think I like the Panthers. I think they've got some really good players, really exciting players. They play an exciting brand of hockey. But I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah,
They are so underwhelming at the moment. It's not funny.
well, it's rough. It's like, how do you lose to Columbus? Sure, you have 49 shots, they have 20,
Hmm.
23, but you lose to Columbus in the same week you beat Boston. Um,
Yep.
it it's a bit of a head scratcher, that one. Um,
Summing them up perfectly though, to be
and
honest.
that pretty much sums them up, and that's why I couldn't have them any higher. And look, they get an OT um, against the St. Louis today, but
They were
yeah,
4-1 up.
I was about to say, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's just not good enough. And like you said, any excuse to kick him out top 16 is just waiting for a team below him to actually just put a few wins together.
to actually let us do it. Yeah, exactly. Like I never expected this. I thought Florida top 10 lock, like they wouldn't fall out of the top 10 probably all year. And they would be close to that top 5 for the whole year basically. And right now we're trying to find reasons to kick them out of the top 16. Um, it's crazy. I This is not good signs for Florida. It's their time to win now. Obviously, the big move, and it was controversial, getting rid of Huberto and Uyghur, to bring in Kachuk. Right now, Kachuk is doing a lot of things right for Florida, but it's just not happening for him.
No,
And
I
it
think
does start to
the
get concerning.
unsung thing is the loss of the coach. I'm losing his name right now. But
Um,
going,
Burnett,
yeah, I believe so. Yeah. There's
yeah,
went to the Devils. I
he went to the Devils.
I don't think that's stressed enough on why Florida are where they are and why the Devils are where they are. I think that doesn't get talked about enough. But
Yeah,
yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up. On to number 14. I suspect it's probably your 14. I have a team that's climbing the ladder, climbing the ladder. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
yep, yeah. It was hard to. I know, obviously, they got handled pretty well today, by Toronto, but yeah, they're looking good.
Yeah, it seems a bit like that was really the only game Toronto played though, like for full 3 periods.
Mm,
But they seem to be winning the games they need to be after their little slump at the start of the season, beating
yep,
Chicago, beating Calgary, and then beating Philadelphia. Um, those are wins you need to put together, and they're doing that. So
yeah,
they're on the
yeah,
move, back in the top 16 after the big slump. It's good to see, or bad to see if you're in the
yeah.
Metro, but yeah,
Nah, look, I'm a big fan of Sidney Crosby. I think he's the best player of this generation by far, in my opinion. I know a lot of people
yeah,
saying obviously
I
McDavid coming
I rate him
through,
very
but
highly too. I agree.
yeah. his like he just you got to look at his leadership and what he's done. Like he's not only won the 3 Stanley Cups, and obviously captained as well, but he's gone to World Cups and won those, and like just Olympics, sorry, and won those. He's just he's done so much
Well,
through his
that's why we're
career,
happy that
and
they're lower. He's done enough, and he's done
yeah,
enough.
it's everyone else in the East time to shine. All right, you've had your 3 cups. That's it. Um, nah, look, if they were to win it, and don't get me wrong, I would rather see someone else. But at the same time, if Pittsburgh were to get it done, I wouldn't be too angry about it because my God, how that would just sum up his career. At 35 years old, to be able to drag them to another cup would just be incredible and accolade to the player he is, man he is. But yeah, I'm definitely glad to see them bounce back because I think if they had continued to fallen, it would have put big question marks around re-signing of Letang and Malkin for the extended period that they did.
Yeah, no,
So
I
yeah,
agree. Alrighty, on to
good
13 for
signs.
you.
All right, pick number 13 for me. I couldn't drop them. There was no way they were going any higher. I still have my doubts about these guys, but their records are all right and looking good. So yeah, it's Yellow Kings.
Yeah, it's the same place I got him. Don't have him moving. Um, yeah, it's pretty much summed up. They're in that just above that limbo of the teams from 14 to 18, and just not quite good enough to push up to near the top 10. That's pretty much sums them up.
Yeah, it's tough. Lost 4 of the last 6 games, but they beat San Jose yesterday. I don't know. I I think they'll potentially make playoffs. But I think it's going to be off the back of a weak Western Conference more than anything. Um, yeah, I think if they were in the East, I don't believe that they'd come close to a playoff spot. In my opinion, I think they've got a lot to work on. And I
Yep.
think they're probably one of those teams that are in a limbo of do we go full rebuild or do we try and fast track a rebuild with some of the players that they're trying to bring in that aren't old, but are older. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to see how they go over the next couple of seasons.
Well, a lot of teams in that division are just like a conference. They are basically they should just do the opposite of what they are doing. With so
Mhm.
many teams going for rebuilds over there or just
Yeah,
being real bad. So they're just going to do the opposite of what those teams do, and it seems like it's be that mediocre, try and go for it team. As long as you make the playoffs, it's a success.
it's a success, and maybe you get lucky, right?
Mm,
I mean, they won the Stanley Cup from eighth before, albeit they had a much better side back then. But yeah, like I guess if you make the playoffs, anything can happen, right?
yeah.
Um,
Already,
so yeah,
12 for me. I've got a team that doesn't move again. It's the Detroit Red Wings.
yeah, I've got them in the same spot.
Yeah, they
It,
just it, yeah, it's kind of the
what do you
similar
say?
to LA, but 3-0 win against Nashville, shootout win against the Coyotes. So they definitely couldn't move them down, but I couldn't move them any higher. I think the other teams, the top 11 are just a little bit that much better. So
Yeah,
they're almost there, but they just got to play a few more games and just get that a good little win streak going. I believe they've got a win streak going at the moment, 4 wins in a
four
row.
four straight.
So,
Yeah.
getting a 5 or a 6 win streak would be really good for them to push them into the top 10.
Yeah, I think if they did do that, then there's potential for them to climb, depending on what those other teams in that top 10 other than sort of thing do. I just need to see them play a little bit more consistent. I mean, they lost 4 in a row and now they've won 4 in a row. And I think it sums Detroit up perfectly this year. Um, they seem to go on a win streak and then or win 2 or 3 games, then lose 2 or 3 games, win by a ridiculous amount, then lose by a ridiculous amount. I think we pretty much say it every week, but they played 4 teams that they should beat, and they beat all 4 teams. So let's see if they can keep that up and gain some momentum. But they're in a playoff spot right now, so I don't think Detroit fans are really going to complain too much. I think
No.
they'll be pretty happy with where their team sits right now. Yeah.
Alright, your pick.
All right. Move on to pick 11. This is one that I didn't think I was going to be doing, and I'm not sure where they're going to be on your list and whether or not you're going to have judged them as harshly as I have. But they've only won 2 games in their last 11, I think, or 3 games in their last 11, and it's the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, see, I agree. I got them at 10 at the moment. Moved down 5 positions for me.
Yeah, I mean, they win today, obviously, but prior to that, they were 2 wins in 10, and it's not just the fact that they're losing; it's the losses. They lost to Arizona Coyotes this week, 4-0. They got shut out against Florida a couple of weeks back, 3-0. Uh, they played some good teams over this stretch. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, 3 wins in 11 games, man, for a team that's supposed to be
Yeah,
probably top 5 in the league.
yeah. The
It's
thing
not
is,
good.
though, a couple of their losses, so Winnipeg and Boston, both of them go to OT. Um, you flip a coin, they get those wins, then all of a sudden they're probably top 5. So I think they're closer than where they are, and they're outshooting their opponents all the time. But yeah, it can be worrying if that continues. The win against Calgary hopefully is a flip of good times.
Yeah, look, I think you touched on it. You flip a coin with that Boston Winnipeg. They went to OT. Even the game before that against Minnesota went to OT. The game against Colorado went to OT. So they've lost 4. I think their 4 OT losses that they've lost on the season have come in the past week and a bit. Or they've lost 5, sorry, but 4 of those 5 have come in the last week and a bit. But you've also got to start to question, like, it's okay, you can say that, all right, yeah, but if you just flip the coin and they get those wins, they're better. It is true, but that's 4 OT losses in a row. You throw in the 4-0 loss against Arizona. It was a 5-game losing streak. They only beat Chicago prior to that, and then lose to Colorado, lose to Florida, lose to Toronto. The losses start to add up, and it's like, yep, they're playing good hockey and they're getting a lot of shots on and they are exciting at times. But you've got to start questioning how much of a mental impact is this having? They can't get wins. Yeah, they're out shooting their opponents, potentially even outplaying them a lot of the time. Why can't they get the win? And then
Yeah.
does that
Well,
start playing on their
like I said, I
minds?
think it's OT, and I don't rate OT because it's 3v3. It's not a 5v5 game. So, and they do have a
Yeah.
good 3v3 team, but I don't know why I haven't seen too many of their OT losses in the last 5 minutes. So I don't know what's going wrong there. But honestly, it is a flip of the coin who wins those type of games. On to
Yeah.
number 11, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, it's just a sort of I think a bit of a switch there. They're my number 10.
Yeah, so they moved down to. It's not a hating on them. It's just what the other teams did below them this week. I definitely could see throwing them above Carolina just for how they have their results, but I still think Carolina on ice are playing better, so that's why I had them at
Yeah.
10. Um, I'm not as high as some other people we've seen on Tampa. I don't know how you can be too much more higher on them, honestly. Maybe 8 is your highest they could go, maybe, but yeah, I can't see them going any higher at the moment for me.
Yeah, look, I think that they're playing reasonably well. Um, and they're definitely playing like a top 10 team. I think like again, it's similar to what we said about the lower teams where they're above the 30, but they don't deserve to be, or they're in the top 16, but they don't deserve to be. Well, Carolina and Tampa for you are two of those teams that probably deserve to be in the top 10, but one of them had to be out. Um, so yeah, like I could potentially move them up, but it's hard to argue with some of the other teams around them. Like they've had some really good streaks. I think Seattle, who is going to be a team to come, have won 9 of their last 10 or something.
Yeah, nine
Um,
one one.
9-1-1. Like, how can you argue with having them above a team like Tampa Bay, where, yep, sure, Tampa Bay have won a few games as well, but I don't think they've done what Seattle have done. Um, so yeah, for me, I still think Tampa Bay are playing really well, and they're really starting to click and getting a lot of things going right.
Yeah, Nick
But
Fool's having a great season.
yeah, exactly. They're starting to get some really good play coming from a couple of those players that needed to. They needed to see those players step up, especially with some of the players they lost over the last, not just the last season, but the last 3 seasons. So it's
Yeah,
good to see that sort of coming together.
I agree. On to your number 9.
Number 9 for me, uh, falling a lot this week, but they did. They had some really bad losses, and the teams around them all sort of played really well. So um, I had to drop them down, but it's the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, it's where I put the Dallas Stars as well.
Yeah, I mean they lost to Colorado twice, um, but yeah, like 1 win, 3 losses in the week, and the teams around them all played better. It was hard to put them anywhere else.
Yeah, the big downer was losing in OT to Winnipeg, 41 to 28 shots, and you concede 5 goals. That's pretty rough.
Yep.
But they've been doing this for the whole season, really, going from like P4 to P9, and flip flopping in between there. They seem to be up 1 week, down 1 week, so they'll probably be P4, P5 next week. We'll have to see, but it seems to be
Yeah,
the trend.
they're
Um,
fluctuating, but they're a top team fluctuating.
and they're great to
Which
watch.
yeah, they're exciting. They're playing some nice hockey. Um, but yeah, just some weeks it doesn't click for them.
Alrighty. On to number P8 for me. I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs. Sorry.
Maple
Can't say their name after their win against New Jersey.
Which
No,
yeah, I mean we
no.
we could
You,
go
you
on about
you could have a
that.
six year video on all that. I do want to say in regards to that, just in regards to the refing, take away the goals. I don't care what you think. That game was still refed horribly. Without those
Yeah.
goals, I don't think anybody will realize because nobody really watches it besides Toronto or New Jersey. There was so many missed calls. It was disgusting. And it was on both teams. Elbow to Heisha, slashing calls. There was, Mana getting interfered with by Marino. Like you could have probably pages worth of just missed calls. It was disgusting to watch.
Yeah, and
Um,
the big one for me with one of those missed calls was Hamilton slashes or high sticks Mana, and it's there. He high sticks him. They missed that call,
yeah,
and
but
then
then he
it wasn't until
embellished.
they reviewed. Yeah, it wasn't until they reviewed it that they gave it a high sticking call. But Mana embellished, and then they didn't after reviewing. They missed high stick call. They didn't call him for embellishment, which they got to watch on video. Which I just thought I was like, wow, it's bad enough that you missed the high stick, but then you missed the embellishment. Then you fix the high stick on the review, but you don't fix the embellishment, which was quite clear and obvious. Like he's hit him basically on the top of the helmet,
Yeah,
and
and
the
then he
guy's acting
dived
like
like he
he's ripped his
died.
face off.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Like
And then
it's
you got
just
like when Sharon Govich gets slashed 2 seconds later, like literally it's the same play. He touches the guy's
he
gloves and he
gets
gets done. So
yeah.
it was disgusting. Then
Matt Murray
then you add the three
net
goals
off.
onto it. So yeah. But they've
Yeah,
I the reason I got them at 8 and not any higher is because I don't think they're playing 3 period hockey. Like the game against Devils, they played a period. A lot of that on the back of momentum shifts from those overturned goals.
yeah,
i- Maybe the game against Pittsburgh today is probably the game that I see for the week that they actually put 3 periods together.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm yet to see them really put a full game together, and that's what worries me about the Leafs. But they are still getting wins.
And that's it, right? Like they got the wins. They get 7 points out of the possible 8 with the OT loss against Islanders. Um, yeah, look, I think it's definitely there for them. Especially getting a win today and even the win yesterday against Minnesota. With such a depleted defensive line. I definitely think they're playing reasonably good hockey and getting results that they need to. Um, which is what you want, right? When you're down, I think what 3 or 4 of their probably top
Yeah,
4. They're probably missing all of their top 4 defenders.
Matt Murray's been
Um,
playing great for them too. That's a big reason why they're getting those wins.
yeah, I mean, the resurgence of Matt Murray is really good. He definitely stole the game against New Jersey. Like, we can take the goals out of that, all you want. Um, but he did. He stood on his head. Um, some of those, even without the 3 missed calls, the Devils could have put 6 past Toronto
Not
if it
easily.
wasn't for Matt Murray. So, yeah, I mean, they're getting results. They're getting what they need. Um, it does concern me, especially with Toronto. We know their defense isn't the best anyway, and they've lost basically their top 4. So it does concern me a little bit of how long can they continue this without that top 4 D line? But
I think it's the goaltending breaks. That's basically it. Um,
yeah, but at the same time, they've got a ridiculously good offense, and they're firing. Mana, 16, I think 16 games in a row now. He's got a point. Nylander's looking phenomenal. Yeah, so I don't know. It's good if you're a Leafs fan. You could be happy with the wins that they're putting together. Probably when you would expect they wouldn't get them. Um, Especially today against the Pittsburgh Penguins side that are performing a lot better than they have been. Um, yeah, with the depleted D line they have, you wouldn't have been surprised if they got walloped. But yeah,
Alrighty.
they're doing good things.
On to the next pick. Your pick.
All right, pick 7, another team. That's just I love the fact that they're here. I can't believe that they're here. Um, yeah, what a season they're having. Seattle Kraken.
Alrighty.
I've just yeah, I'm
I've
stumped
actually
for
got them
words.
one higher. I'm a little bit more in love
Ooh.
with them. I got them at 6.
Oh, you know what? I'd love to put them in my top 5. Honestly, I might just change that now. Chuck them in my top 5. They're playing some phenomenal hockey, man. It's ridiculous.
It's
Um,
I love watching them. Point percentage, they're fourth in the league. Uh, Great goal differential, like we spoke about earlier, 9-1-1.
mhm,
They're in a 4 game win streak at the moment, like just straight win streak. It's and the games, like it's just beautiful hockey to watch. It's complete hockey, 200-foot
yeah,
hockey. They got great playmakers and Berniers and whatnot. It's and the Burakovsky, Andrei Burakovsky, yeah, that's right. That's how you
yeah,
say his name.
yeah.
Unsung pickup, really. He's been really good for them. So I'm
Yeah.
loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, look, I don't for me Burakovsky is not an unsung pickup. I rated him really highly at Colorado.
When I say
Um,
unsung, I think it's by the league in general or fans.
Oh, 100%. I rated him when he was with Washington. I thought he was really good. I think we actually spoke about this maybe last week or the week before, but he the pickup him being picked up by Colorado was phenomenal for what they paid for him, and the fact that Seattle's obviously got him now, again, is just great. He's just one of those players that, yeah, he might not be, a top 20 player in the league, but my God, he's great to have on your team. He can score goals. He's what you want. But they're just impressive. The shots against them is phenomenal. I mean, I'm about to say that they don't concede a lot of goals, even though they conceded 5 against San Jose the other day. But prior to that, it was all 2 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal, 1 goal, 2 goals. Like they're just on the defensive side, they're really impressive. They're able to keep the shots against their tender down, which is probably one of the reasons why Marty Jones is doing as well as he is. Albeit he is making some phenomenal saves. But yeah, like if you're keeping shots on your net down to low 20s, it goes a long way to winning games, and that's what they're doing, game in, game out. They did it against Vegas yesterday.
Yeah, it's game in,
Um,
game out. So it's very consistent hockey.
yeah.
Alrighty. On to P7 for me. I have the New York Islanders.
Ooh, they're in my top five.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Um,
I understand it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I had to. They had a really good week, man.
yeah, they had a really good week. I just think another team's been more consistent throughout the season. Um, yeah, what do you do? They win all 4 games. Sure, some of them, they win against Toronto, but then the other games, Oilers, Columbus, Philly, 2 of those are like guaranteed wins. Yeah, I like it. I think they've got still a little bit to add in there. Not sure what it is. A little bit more spice in their game. But I like
Sugar and
it.
spice and everything nice.
Yeah. Well, when Philly players start trying to beat up your players, I don't know what else you can add. But I think they're getting some great games from players that should be on the decline, like Parise. Scores 2 goals today. A beautiful goal, similar to Jack Hughes today, where it's the top corner from the side. So
Yeah.
everything seems to be clicking for him. I can definitely see him in top 5. I understand that.
I mean, Parise are great. I almost had my Parise jersey on when we were shooting this earlier. I was going to put it on, but I didn't. So damn, should have done that. But yeah, I just think Parise has been a great pickup for them. Like he's not expensive for them. He's not gonna do anything stupid, but he's got 7 goals on the season. He's a +7, so he's not on the ice, conceding goals often either. He's just what you want. Like he's 38 years old. You're not expecting him to do anything stupid, but he's on pace for 25 plus goals this year,
Yeah.
which, unless you're a Alex Ovechkin, close to, I don't think Ovechkin's that old, but yeah, you 25 goals from a 38-year-old, you take it every day of the week.
Yeah. The reason why I did have them as low as I did is just this week and just some games in general they were just getting outshot. They were outshot every game this week. Sure, they get the wins, but it was -33. It was the second worst in the league, besides
Yeah,
Arizona at -39. So that's my concern.
conceded almost 50 against Edmonton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
and
I can.
they're only putting 20 shots on a game. So yeah, I do see your point there. That probably would be a cause for concern, but they also scored 14 goals this week.
Yep. So it's pick your sauce really. Alrighty.
Yeah,
Your
they're
pick
efficient.
number 6.
My pick number 6. Again, like I dare say you've got these guys at pick 5. I don't blame you for it. They've been really, really good this year, and it was really a flip of a coin for me. But they were 6 last week, so they stayed 6 this week. That's Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, that's my number 5. Alrighty.
And it's hard to comment, really, right? Like
Uh,
they're
I think
good
they're
wins.
clicking. I think they're finally getting that offense clicking and somewhat defense. The stats have been showing that they're finally kicking a gear and not having to rely on Hellebuck. The only worrying sign was the 6-1 loss against Minnesota. They
Yeah,
just got destroyed really. Outplayed for 3 periods, and that's really my only concern. But they get the OT win against Dallas and OT win against the Canes. So, like the other teams we've talked about, at least they're getting the wins in the OT.
yeah,
But one
yeah. That's the
concern
difference,
also
isn't it?
was they were -27 in shot differential, and even though they won 2 out of 3 games, -3 in goal differential. purely because of that Minnesota game, but that was my
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, oh, look, one of the crazy things for me was the Carolina game with them. Um, 3 goals in 4 minutes.
Mm,
They were 3-0 up, and then they conceded. Luckily, that obviously they pull away with the OT win, so it doesn't end as badly as it could. Cough, cough. Who was that team that did that a little bit earlier? New York Rangers.
yep.
Losing regulation after being 3-0 up. Chicago, I think, did it earlier. Lost in regulation after being 3 goals up. Um, but yeah, look, I still think they're doing some really good stuff. The game against Minnesota, yep, they're 22nd in the power rankings or our power rankings, and they're 23rd in the league standings. But Minnesota are a side that we probably expect games like that from them, right? We expect them to be a lot better. So one missed game from Winnipeg here or there, even though it is a big blowout, I don't hold it against them too much. If they got spanked by bloody Chicago 6-1, maybe I'd drop them a couple of positions, but Minnesota, I don't hold it against them too much, especially when they win against Dallas and Carolina in those
Yeah.
other two. So
All right. Well,
yeah,
our video's just hit an hour, so maybe we just want to rifle off these top four. I think they're all going to be the same. Um,
yep,
so
all
we'll
right.
get the top four. I'll do mine first. It's Colorado.
Colorado, all right. Yeah,
Yep. So definitely on the upswing. Loving the game. I
could have
can't.
had them at third.
Could have had them at third. I struggled to put them at third though, so that's why they stay at four. Go to four. I definitely can see them next week being there. It's
Yeah,
they're putting it together really, and they've had injuries. They've got a lot of their top six out, and Bo Byram out, and they're still winning games, which is scary. Kind of the opposite of what Washington's been doing. So,
also a much better team than
oh
Washington,
no,
but
100%.
we'll,
But yeah,
we'll leave that there. But
but
yeah,
yeah,
no, I agree. I think they're really starting to click, looking really dangerous, looking like the Stanley Cup champions they
yeah,
are. And honestly, if they keep going the way they are, this third team in Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado will take their position because they are 5 losses in their last 7 or something like that, 6 maybe even. So they're on a downward trend at the moment, Vegas, which is kind of scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
They go
Sorry, 5
500.
in their last 8.
Yeah, they go 500
Yeah.
this week. Beating Vancouver, who's on the upswing, then Ottawa. So the two games they should win. But then they go and
Yeah.
lose the Kraken. But Kraken's a hard team. But then lose to
Yeah.
Vancouver, who played their best game of the season. And so they probably should have won that one. But it's hard to maintain the rate that the top three have been playing at. And it just seems
Oh,
Vegas
100%.
Vegas has been the first one to drop off the wagon. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
number two. Let's see if we've done any swaps here. Well, I still have the
Uh,
New Jersey Devils.
yeah, so do I. I'd love to have the Devils at number 1, but unfortunately, Boston, the only blemish that Boston had this week was the same night that the Devils had a blemish.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, it's hard to move the Boston Bruins off of the top, but they are they're by far the two best teams in the league right now.
Yeah,
Um,
they're in a division of their own.
yeah,
I'd love to see a 7 series playoff right now between them, but we're not going to get that, unfortunately,
no,
just because of how the Stanley Cup Finals play
I'd just love to
skipped
see
up.
them play now. Just play a game now. We don't get to see it until late December. I think it's first game back after Christmas,
Mm.
maybe. But yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I think Colorado are going to be in that frame with them soon, or the Devils and Boston might even fall off, and Colorado
Well, the
might be
rate
in it
they're
on
at
their
is
own.
almost impossible to keep up, but they're both playing complete hockey. 200-foot
Hmm.
ice. I think Boston have been playing more of like a harder team to verse, but New Jersey's got that pace, so they could just break any defense. The thing with New Jersey, they're getting defensive plays from players you wouldn't expect, like Jack Hughes. His 200-foot games hit a new level. Um, the addition of Horler playing amazing, but Pavel Zacha's been amazing for Boston. It's there's not much to say that's wrong with those teams at the moment.
No, exactly. You touched on it. I think, yeah, I mean, Pasternak as well for Boston. I mean, what a season to have, probably your best season of your career.
In your contract year.
You
Yeah.
know, contract year. There was all this talk about he's going to get traded out. All the how much is he worth? 32
Yeah.
points in 21 games, 14 goals. He's on a point streak. I don't know how long it's been, but my God, he's playing out of this world at the
It's
moment.
probably going to be it's kind of like a McDavid or whatnot. Like the contract he's going to sign is going to be too much, and it's going to his contract will overshadow how good he plays for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
If
that's a
he doesn't
concern,
take a
isn't it?
team friendly deal. But yeah,
Yeah,
the only other thing was with New Jersey, they're getting wins with their third string goalie in Schmid,
yeah,
which is and they're still maintaining the rate they're going, which is impressive. Normally teams will lose more than 50% of those games, so that's definitely impressive. Can't say any more. Do you want to sign us out or?
yeah. No, sounds good. I think we've pretty much touched on everything. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. Let us know what you think in the comments about our rankings. Did your rankings look similar? Do they look completely different? Let's have a chat about it. But if you like the video, give us that big thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, until next time, take it easy and we'll see you then.
Catch you.